ukuze sikwazi ukuthi sikhulume as a business yalama district awu4. But for me, ngifuna ukubiza bonke somabhizinisi, ikakhulukazi ama-forums ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya nasemadolobheni amancane. Ake sikhulume ngazwi linye, sisupporte le initiative. Ake sime ekujaheni ukumisa ama-project azosidevelopa. Because uma senze njalo, ama-project lawa asey'ndaweni zasemakhaya asuke ezofita iy'ngane zethu, omama bethu, osisi bethu, abakithi abakhona ezindaweni. Ake sizame ukuprotecta iy'ndawo zethu nama-project alethwa kuthina. Thina as a business sector sifuna le project iqhubeke, but iwari yethu as a business. Kukhulunywa kakhulu ema-boardroom. Kukhulunywa kakhulu ngalezi zinto abe mahle ama-presentation abe nje. But when it comes to implementation, that is a problem. So even next year, you will find the same. Even after 5 years, you will find the same. But when you go to the ground, go to the ground, implement, then you will never have any complaint from us. But as a business, for us, it's just for the implementation, not to sit in meetings like this or conferences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Those who are sitting next to you will do the interpretations. We didn't get an interpreter. But was just making a call on other forums that are established across the country in communities, wherever they are, that let's come together and speak as one. And those business forums to professionalize themselves as businesses, not as people who stop projects. And if you can get to them and really plead to them that development ought to be released and be allowed to happen, and professionalize ourselves, register ourselves proper, comply with the law so that we could all then have this big cake that we can share, but also see development happening. And saying to government, please, boardrooms should be less. These boardroom meetings, let's see action and implementation. So at 5 years, 10 years, 15, we see a difference, unlike in the past, where we had made so many decisions and nothing happened. So those, just in brief, and they support the presentation as presented by the Wild Coast because it represented all other business chambers in the 4 districts. Harry Gwala, do you still want to say something, or you are also covered? They are covered. Okay, so Harry Gwala is...
The reason for this is to get international accreditation. We've got backing from the Sunshine Tour already. This is to get ecotourism going in the area, in industrial zones, integrated housing development. Also, a King Faku Mall, which is important, right close to the N2 highway. And then schools and hospitals, smart city development, and then of course solar and hydrogen plant. This is important for us, that it's all green energy, and the city will be self-sustainable from water to energy. Just in short, the project summary, KLM Financial Services will spearhead the initiative in partnerships with Amapondo Kingship, the community, and I just must mention that the land that will be utilized will be turned into equity for the community as well as the kingdom. The other important thing is we've got leading international and local JSE listed companies. International companies that form part of the partnership are SGH2 Energy. They're investing over R1 billion into the hydrogen side to ensure that this forms as a catalyst for the improvement of the area and job creation. Further, we've got Grupo Cobra, one of the largest EPC companies in the world, Hitachi, HealthFox, and Beacon. Local companies that form part of the partnerships, and only but just to mention a few, the Ruinert Group, which is also a listed company, Co-Create, Sun International, NHC, Njolo Capital, Krebus, Down Touch Investments, Southern African PGA Tour, Tsela Tswa, DMB Holdings, and then, last but not least, the community. Funding has been arranged through several local first-tier banks, leading pension funds in South Africa, as well as equity partners, as I said, such as HGH2 Energy, Grupo Cobra, GreenX Capital, Nahawa Investment Holdings, and the Renet Group. Sorry, just to quickly touch on the budget, and this will be quick. So on the infrastructure development, and I'm quite happy to share this presentation with anyone, we're putting in 7.1 billion rand. On the hydrogen plant, we're putting in 1.4 billion rand. On health services, for phase 1, we're putting in 350 million rand, and that would include, as you can see, community equity, as well as ensuring that we have clinics right through into the various villages around the smart city. And this also includes smart health services. Solar plant and storage, 240 million. Agriculture and rural development, 2.1 billion. And then we also have the Internet of Things. This is to ensure that everyone has connectivity, that the smart solutions that we are doing can be done. And there we're spending 600 million. We're on the eco-tourism side, we're looking at 1.1 billion. I'm not going to go into detail on each specific leg of the project. However, I must tell you, I'm happy to share it and you can go through it in your own time. And as I said before, we're looking at further investment. We have, so far, we've raised 16 billion. We're not trying to raise it, we've raised it already. We have our partners, we have the plans put together, we've done the feasibilities and bankable studies on it. The second phase that we're busy with is trying to raise a further amount, and that further amount then would include a high-speed rail along the coastline powered by hydrogen fuel cell technology, train. So in the end you won't need electricity. I think that's important on the rail itself. And then of course all the other developments along the coast. Just to touch on the smart agriculture, as you can see, we've put a lot of funding into the agriculture part of our smart city. We use an anchor farm, and I don't think this is something new, which will be the catalyst for the development of the number of commercially viable feeder farms. So that's the community and community farming, and agribusiness and beneficiation plants in the surrounding communities' communal land. So we're not looking at taking huge areas of agriculture, but we partner with the community and they form part of our solution. Following this integrated development approach, the development of the anchor farm will initiate community development and the enhancement of the livelihoods of all community members to whom the land in the end belongs.
You have scored an investment of 16 billion rand. A round of applause for Eastern Cape. And any other investors that are present? Okay, come. Let's hear which other district is gonna, but the both district in KZN and Eastern Cape have scored on the 16 billion rand because of the biomass, the agricultural waste, and then the municipality waste. All of it is no longer going to be thrown around now. It's going to go into the hydrogen. So both provinces and the 4 districts, we are the big scorers on this one. Thank you. Is consulting person for the CN Energies. Yeah, so you'll just say your name because I don't want to mispronounce it.
Okay, thank you. Program Director, Minister Dlamini Zuma, MECs, Deputy MECs, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Colin Rahman. I'm a consulting engineer not quite the investor yet, but I am representing the investor, which is Sea Energies, who are looking at two major developments in the Ugu district municipality, being the oil refinery and a steel mini mill. I'll go to that in a bit more detail. Sorry. Okay, I've also got alongside me here, Mr. Pindani Nene. Pindani, are we doing this as a duet? I can't sing, but...
No, they've asked me to come and join you so that I introduce properly.
Okay, can you introduce yourself then? I'll continue.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me greet everyone, especially our Honorable Minister. Unfortunately for me, I've adopted Minister Dlamini Zuma as my mother. I don't like to use the name minister. It doesn't go down well to me. I'm that kind of a person. Basically, my name is Pindani Nene from Umbumbulu, if you want to say Durban. But I've come up with a concept of inviting investors across the globe to make sure that this area that we are referring to, the 4 districts that we are talking about, benefit practically instead of theorizing, because some of the things that we are talking about, they were part of the speeches in 1994, and up to this point, nothing has happened. And secondly, I've developed quite a number of areas, but what we want to request today from the board at all levels of government, the only request we have is to fast-track the processes. I'll give you one example and then you'll see where we are. In 2015, I led the acquisition of land at Ilovo for the development of Motor Hub. 2015. Up to this point, nothing has happened. And when I approached the relevant department, because I was coming with an investor that was ready to invest 40 billion, they said they are not ready, they will be ready in 2025, 2026. That is where we are as a country. We keep on chasing the investors away. But here I want to introduce the chairman and the CEO of Sea Energies, Mr. Abu Bakar, who has also committed billions of dollars to the project of oil refinery and steel mill. So all we are looking for now is about fast-tracking the processes. Because if the processes are fast-tracked, in the next 3-4 months, people in this area will be enjoying jobs. If we can stop theorizing and stop greediness, because greed is leading in this country. Anything that you try and establish that talks about creating jobs and assisting people on the ground is not needed, because people start up by saying, what is in for me? That is the critical thing we are experiencing in this country. So I would like to thank Umama Wamlab for bringing all the MECs and the HODs and the DGs, because the whole idea here is to fast-track the processes without talking about what is in for me. We need to think about creating jobs for our communities, not corruption, not anything of that nature. We need to say, here is an investment, they are ready to start in 3 or 4 months, not this thing of feasibility studies, which is a hell of a corruption. They talk about feasibility studies and they put 100 or 200 million to it, which will carry on. Every year they are thinking of that 200 million that they are doing. Whilst general public and people on the ground are suffering. So my request is that from today onwards, let's change this country. Let's change corruption. Let's focus on the practical side of business. So for today, I'll introduce Sea Energies, but I'll also introduce the lady that is representing Tyler Perry, because we would like to establish and develop the film city here in this area. And what I've raised in the past 12 months is almost 1.3 trillion. But we need to start.
As you can see on the right-hand side, the refinery will be able to produce LPG, chemicals, kerosene used for jet fuels, diesel, fuels used for ship, bitumen that we all need badly in our roads industry, and other products such as lubricating oils, waxes, and polishes. Just to go back to why we need to sustain what we've got, the South African market actually, the current crude oil processing plants are refining a capacity of 704,000 barrels per day. That's split between, as you can see there on the left-hand side, SAPREF, Sasol, Engen, Natref, Chevron, and Petro SA. And the map shows you how spread out they are in the country. But the future doesn't look good for them as a refinery, because there's a shift to cleaner fuels to get to Euro 5 and Euro 6 standards. And this has been brought forward about 70 k's away from the multi-products pipeline. And the intention is to mirror what is being done at SAPREF and Engen at the moment, where they've got a calm buoy out at sea, probably about 5 kilometers offshore, 2 to 5 kilometers offshore, from where crude oil is pumped into the refinery site. So that's what we're looking at there as well. And that's a layout, the footprint of the refinery. It's quite a big refinery. It's going to be at least 2 kilometers long by about 1 kilometer wide. There's a bit more detail there about the extraction structure, being the SPM buoy at a distance of approximately 4 kilometers from the shore, and the pipelines that will go in. There's also the possibility that fuel might be exported, so there could be a return pipeline as well, depending on the South African demand. As I said, we chose this particular site because it's the closest we can get within Ugu to the multi-products pipeline, but it does mean building another multi-products pipeline, which will be about 70 kilometers long. We're hoping to get approval from Sandrail and someone to use the road reserve, or if not, we'll have to look at another servitude. But with Engen and
No, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Basically, I would like to introduce, because there are some investors who have traveled all the way from the US, from Canada, from England, coming specifically to introduce themselves here. We also have our own local companies that are ready to be part of this Seaboard. All I need to do is to introduce them. But maybe we'll give one or two the opportunity. It will introduce a lot of things. But without wasting time, we also have another Nene here who will get and put up storage facility at 97 million. And that is what we are getting here. When you look at the total of investment, they come to plus or minus 1.2 trillion, and that is what we are. But I'll introduce the lady now just for 1 minute, in order to talk about the film city.
Okay.
All right.
No. As I said, we are trading on a dangerous time, space.
Exposed to the dreams and the rural environments of the diamonds in the rough in our nation that has never ever been touched. We travel throughout this nation bringing international education and opportunities to so many cities that are already developed, but the rough diamonds that I have been exposed to in my childhood and as a teenager growing up as a caravan park kid whose dad was a construction worker, I need to highlight the importance of bringing a film city into the Eastern Cape as well as KZN, because the level of potential that I was exposed to growing up in these two provinces is absolutely unstoppable, but we don't have the resources or the educational training systems implemented to be able to bring Hollywood, Netflix to this actual project. Johannesburg, Cape Town is the known name internationally and globally for the film industry. The film city at the Seaboard will be ultimate and brings about a brand new opportunity for the community and the rural area, for the kids with the low mindset of being raised rural. Now you need to be...
Thank you very much for the three practical kickstarters, Minister, to the Eastern Board development. You have the calcium consortium that had already told us about the hydrogen and many other activities. We have also listened to Sea Energies, also on the oil refinery and minimal steel investment that are almost ready. They are just going through paper applications and zoning issues and also the environmental assessment. And then the figures has been pronounced. And also now this work of the film city, which, Madam, you will then also begin to work on it and make it a reality. You have really punctuated on the importance, the scenario and what we see, but also picking up on the rough diamonds and ensuring that the young people are the biggest beneficiary. In addition to the 17 million US dollars that we are already using to uplift education amongst the young children in South Africa across the landscape. It's not just only in the Seaboard. I know I saw one on television last week, 2 weeks ago, who is going to the US on a scholarship. And then the family was so excited that they thought the child will never go to US at any given stage. So continue with the good work. We are also going to package you as part of the announcements today. Minister, I will cancel the discussions. I think the business chambers of commerces in the 4 districts have already engaged on quite issues for further engagement, for further solutions, for further resolution with government. And then also they've called for the road from here, Port Edward until Port St. John, if that road can also be attended to. They have already engaged on the issues of the disruptive elements in the development and business as a whole. That government, if we could then begin to reach out to also that we do not disrupt development or business growth across. They've already called on collaboration as business chambers, which is a very good model that we want, and then so that we could speak as one. And investors, I think, they did indicate some of the challenges, but they say there are solutions. They did not just paint a picture of challenges, so that even when we are there, you know that there are people who will give solutions to those particular challenges. So therefore, your investment is most welcome, and it really gives us something to say now and also in tomorrow when the president arrives, so that we could then begin to pronounce on some of those kickstarters in the Eastern Cape and also in KwaZulu-Natal, in the 4 districts as the beneficiaries of where activity is going to.
And the Economic Council brings together government, business, labor, and civil society. It's an attempt to build a social compact, because we can't have everybody working together. We're bound to have problems. And that's a very big and fancy word, but it's actually talking to the detail of, who was it, from the Wild Coast Chamber, who articulated that community consultation, participation, sense of ownership, without being unrealistic. I think no investor is going to put their money in if they're not sure it's safe or they're not going to get a reasonable return, and we are mature enough to understand that. But from where we come from as South Africa, we want to see transformation, real, sustainable transformation, and therefore that social compact becomes important. That's why it is so important that you spoke as frankly as you did, to say these are our issues. Let's work together in a frank and honest way, understanding each other's issues, and we are more likely to come up with a sustainable solution. So thank you to the organized business for bringing that frank perspective to the discussion, and of course the other individual business people. I can't imagine what kind of nerves of steel it must take to make is it a $16 billion decision, investment decision, and to say that you're going to make a decision that's going to be sensible, that investor or those groups of investors, I mean, you're working, I think somebody said, with the pension funds. I won't sleep easily at night if I'm knowing that I'm responsible for the welfare of workers' pension funds. So that's a great responsibility that the investment community has. And we are pleased that from the background of that kind of responsibility, you're identifying this smart city on the eastern seaboard with the potential that you think it has. The same too with the oil refinery, and Mr. Owl Baker, well, your hair is still a long way to go before it reaches my color, but I'm pleased that you are in a position to make that kind of decision, and we would encourage you. But let me be quite frank. We want to defeat corruption. There's without any mercy, no compromise. But we can't compromise on proper planning. I told you that I'm from here, from Ugu. I don't want my children or grandchildren to look, when I'm dead and gone, to say we made stupid decisions that were not in their interests. So let's act with integrity within the legal framework that we have and come up with sustainable solutions. So this, I was going to say much more, but I think we're at the tail end of this program today. And if we are going to do half of what we say we're going to do, I think we're going to meet on 100 times more, many more occasions, and that'll be the time to say that. So thank you for everyone. Again, starting with our national government led by our minister, the provincial governments of both provinces, Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, the local government authorities, and of course the investors. I hope you're going to inspire many other investors to say, here's serious decisions being made, and they would like to add value to all the supplementary opportunities that are going to be there. Thank you very much, and I hope we'll see you tomorrow. I'm not sure what the invite list is like, so let me not invite you. I'm sure the correct protocol will be followed as far as the invitation is concerned. But the fact that the president is coming tomorrow to add his weight and his voice to this particular initiative, I think there can't be better evidence than that this is a serious effort which we want to succeed. Thank you for listening. May God bless each and every one of you.
Honorable players already announced about tomorrow, but the announcement is that by 11 o'clock, all of you who are accredited, we had gone through the accreditation, and then we have it on you. You will be in the Ugu, the sports grounds. That's where the activity is. Please be seated before 11 o'clock. We should not be arriving at 11 because the president will be arriving at around time. Just be seated from 10:30 if all of you, so that we can then go through protocols and accreditation verification and then all those things. The second announcement is that there will be a small delegation of the investors and the Chamber of Commerces that are here to have a chat brief meeting with the President in the morning. And we are saying Ugu, not more than 2 people, Chamber of Commerce, Alfred Nzo, not more than 2 people, so that the rest of the other delegations will advance, except the 2 people will be remaining here. Wild Coast Chamber of Commerce, 2 people, not more than that. And then the South Coast also 2 people, not more than that. And then the rest of your other delegates will go there. And the investors, if you are a group, will also say 2 to 3 people in the group for the investors that are here. And particularly those who have already pledged in particular to say, please, then be part of that small delegation that will then have a brief chat with the President in the morning. He will start with the king, the 2 kings of the area, and then at that point, there will be an area where you'll be waiting, and then he will come and greet and then appreciate and welcome you. But you must be ready then to follow as we depart to the Ugu Sports Grounds. Also be there because you'll be talking more that side in the program where you'll be, again, pledged, but make it short to the point so that you summarize. It's a bigger audience than this one. So we'll be giving you just a few minutes to then say what is it that you're going to do and the investment figure, and then that's it. So, Minister, with that, then we are coming to the end of the meeting, and we will then play that video that they could not see earlier. It's not a long one, and then that will signal the end. Once it ends, everybody knows that the meeting is now adjourned. Can you play it? Thank you.